It is a cold and frosty British winter morning, but I am lovely and toasty in my fish house. It is like a summer's day inside of here, but this is bringing its own problems. I have many drips. Previously I've shown you my drips and it's been through water ingress due to rain. But today, now the sun is coming out, all the condensation on the inside beneath of this Celotex is dripping down. Some of you have suggested that I put some guttering along this area to trap all this condensation, and that would be an absolutely fantastic idea. However, having looked into the price of guttering right now, it's actually way too expensive. So for now, we're going to be capturing the condensate in some little buckets. About 2 weeks ago, I added this stuff to my tank behind me here, and I wasn't sure if it was going to do anything, but major developments have happened in the last couple of days. If we take a look at the rock work here, you can see that it is starting to clear in quite a large and dramatic fashion. Obviously, there's quite a lot of detritus stuck on the lava rock beneath all of this brown algae. That's going to clear. I'm going to wash that off, and I'm going to siphon as much of it as I can. But if you compare this to my last video that I did about 5 days ago, the amount of algae is dramatically less. The patches between the brown algae is quite a bit bigger, and that tells me that either this tank has started to mature naturally and that the Pristine that I added has done absolutely nothing, or the Pristine has worked. And I'm going to err on the side of thinking that this Pristine has done its job, because I like to think that I spent money on something that worked. I have no way of proving it. It could be coincidental, but I have seen a significant improvement in my water clarity and also the amount of algae disappearing from my system. So although it is anecdotal, I do think that Seachem Pristine has helped me in this case. I bought some new macroalgae as well. I'm always trawling through eBay to try and find new species. It's a little bit of a mess in here. I've been rooting around, but the first one I got is quite cool. It's this one here. You can see that it's not one that I've had before. It's not one that I'm actually really familiar with. It's quite a thin, rubbery algae, and the mother plant that it came off looks pretty much like this, but just bigger. So even though the ends of it here are ruffled, all this tends to do, I think, is just sort of turn into more flat bands of algae. But this one survived quite well in the post. It only took a day, wasn't particularly well wrapped, wasn't really affected by cold weather. So that says to me that this is relatively hardy. So spurred on by that, I ordered some other algae from another seller, and unfortunately, although this looks amazingly fluorescent right now, it does actually mean that this algae has died in the post. If you get an algae and it arrives bright fluorescent orange, tends to mean that it's got too cold, and that's what's happened with this one. And that's a real shame, because this algae did look on the seller's picture to be quite nice. You can still see there are some small amounts alive, and potentially it doesn't take a lot of algae to regrow, so even if the smallest amount survives, this might be viable. But all I can do with it at the moment is just put it into my systems, let the dead stuff rot away, and see what we're left with. And that kind of shows you why it's difficult to ship macroalgae when it's cold weather, or the travel time is a long time, because you don't want them to chill. And yes, you can use heat packs, but they only last maybe 48 hours, and they're also quite expensive these days. So I get asked a lot to send macroalgae internationally, and that's kind of the reasons why I don't. I really have to decide what to do with this tank. I've been putting it off for a long while. I think it still actually looks quite nice. It's not quite the same as what I had envisaged for it. Fortunately, one of my fishes is a bit ill. This blue reef chromis seems to have like cancer or something. I've tried to catch it out, but I just can't. It's not really affecting any of the other fish, so I think it's more of a tumour type deal. but trying to catch one of these, even when they're ill, isn't particularly easy. If you know what it is, let me know, but I do think it's more of a tumorous kind of growth. In terms of the tank, it's actually quite healthy. I don't do a lot to it other than clean it every now and then. The anemone is absolutely massive, which is one of the reasons why I don't particularly want to break it down, because this anemone clownfish pair seems to be doing really well in here, and it's sort of stunning to watch. The macroalgae, this is a point that I've made a few different times, is when you grow macroalgae together, over the long period of time, you tend to get one or two species which dominate the rest. And in here you can see the caulerpa has absolutely gone mental. That's about almost 2 feet of caulerpa from one side to the other. And on the bottom we've just got a carpet of this red hair algae, and for some reason we've now got Cheeto appearing. I don't know how that went in there, but you can see what happens. And this is one of the major difficulties in macroalgae care, is actually stopping other macros from encroaching and killing each other. So let me know what you think I should do with this tank. Should I keep it or should I take it down? I can just leave it as it is and see where it goes, but I'm kind of thinking take it down. I've also finally moved my tanks from the shed we were just in to here. So they're not plumbed in yet, but you can see I've got my two 4x2 by 1.5s in here. They are drilled and I'm going to systemize them, and it's all going to go onto this sump. So that is my next project. It's not actually that difficult to do, because all I need to do really, buy some pipe work, attach some lights, and then we can just make some water and fill her up. So that should be a really easy project for me to finish. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please leave a like and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you to my channel members and patrons. Once again, thanks for watching and happy fish keeping.